How do you feel?
I feel very nervous. What if I say something very stupid?
Go ahead and eat a Sour Patch.
Try not to talk too fast. When I get nervous, I talk fast.
Okay. I'll tell you to slow down.
I talk really fast.
Welcome to the Second Round podcast, where I get together with some of the best people I know, professionally and otherwise, to commiserate about our experiences in the workforce and say all the things HR would probably be on our asses for. So today I am joined by Kristen P. We're going to keep that last name anonymous. Welcome. How are you?
Good, good. Thank you for having me.
Are you excited?
Very, but also very nervous.
This is obviously the first podcast you've ever been on.
Obviously.
Will it be the only is the question.
Ooh, that is a great question. Who knows?
I think from what I know about you, you have plenty of work opinions. I feel like you'd be a good person to have on several times, but we'll see how you do. This is your trial run.
Maybe this will be like the beginning of the floodgate I give you of everything that's ever happened.
So just as, you know, a precursor, we're not going to be naming your employer today. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, it's anonymous. And eventually when we launch the Patreon where people have to pay for it, we'll give you money to tell us who the hell it is.
Well, I will tell you, it's a Fortune 500 company. It is on there and it's under 100. So it's top 100.
Okay, that's spicy.
Right? Okay. I got some good stuff.
All right, so tell us a little bit, and we'll go with whatever you say. So, who are you? What do you do? What are you drinking? Just knocked over my drink. So,
well, I'm Kristen P. Like you said, I am a manager at a retail store. That's what I'll say. Currently, I am drinking Ace. Usually, I get the pineapple one, but I have a pear one today. It's not bad.
Okay, first of all, I didn't even know that we had that.
Yes,
I definitely would have grabbed that. I can confirm all you drink is the pineapple one.
Yes, I love the ciders. The ciders are the best. Mm-hmm. Easiest to drink, and they don't feel like hard alcohol.
Yeah. Are the calories any different?
Probably way more sugar.
Sweet, right?
Way more sugar.
Oh, well,
the calories not that bad.
I'm drinking single in Havana blonde ale with guava. Gotta be honest, I'm barely tasting the guava. But we'll see. Maybe after a few sips, I'll taste more. So I'm really excited to have you because we talk about professional work stuff all the time. You were like one of the first people I thought of to bring on because I'm like, you have so much experience. And so let's just get back to it. So what do you do? Like, tell us your title and tell us how long you've been with the company, not how long you've been in your current role.
Okay, so I've been with the company. It will be 10 years in August.
Wow, double digits.
Yes, and I am technically a department manager.
Okay, you're a department manager. Okay, and what role did you start in 10 years ago?
I started as a cashier.
Okay, that's entry level. I'm in high school, I'm doing this job.
Yes.
You know, I'm getting paid minimum wage.
Very
I'm spending
easy.
my money at the mall.
Right, and minimum wage back then was $8. So can you imagine living off of that? I could not.
I was going to say, I can't.
I could not absolutely live off of that now. I don't know how people do it.
My first job ever, I was getting paid $10 an hour, and I actually felt really privileged. I was like, wow, like, look at me not working minimum wage ever.
Well, that was above minimum wage. I think I started at Cold Stone, and it was even less than that. It was like maybe $7, $7.50 maybe.
Oh man, okay. So you've been even 10 years prior. You're used to working in the retail space.
Yes.
Okay. So you're like a unicorn amongst my friends because you're the only person I know that has stayed at their job, more than a couple years. And career experts tell us that we need to change jobs every 2 to 3 years to get like the maximum payout and other benefits in our job. So every once in a while we stumble on someone who, who stayed at the job maybe 5-10 years, and that's you for us today.
Right.
So I've invited you to, talk to us about your career journey, working for this major Fortune 100 retail chain. And you have literally started from the bottom, and now you are here making really good money. And I think anytime you tell anyone, your salary or how much you're making or that you're literally out here living like a nice life, everyone's like, oh, I did not expect that.
They're surprised, especially by the line of work that I'm in, that they didn't think that this was possible. And a lot of the people that are in my line of work don't even have college degrees.
And we'll get into that.
Yeah.
So first, how did you stumble on this job?
So technically, I didn't really need a job.
Okay.
I had moved to a place and I was in a situation where I did not need financial help, but I was kind of bored at home. I wanted to get out. I actually got a job at another retail establishment.
A competitor?
Yes. Not really. Say it was more of like a niche competitor, but
okay.
Yeah, they were in the same business. And I think I got hired at that job for $8 as well. But then I had asked to get an interview at
So we're back. Kristen accidentally just said her employer. So obviously we had to cut that out for you unless you pay us large sums of money. I, as a third party, may reveal it.
I know, that was so bad. Okay. Okay.
You got it out of your system.
Yep.
We're here now.
No more.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. So go ahead. You were telling us that you didn't really need financial support at the time, and you got an interview at this retail chain.
Right. So I got an actual job. I actually got hired at a retail chain, and then I got a call back at this other retail chain, and they offered me an interview. So I went in. Actually, I called out from the other job, and I said that I wanted,
That's America.
My dog was sick or something. I needed to go home. So I went to this other interview, and I actually got hired
on the spot.
On the spot. Yes.
Okay.
So I think I started like 2 days later, and it was like Labor Day.
Okay, so for retail, a major holiday like that is pretty tough. And so did that have any bearing on whether you stayed or left? Like, was it particularly intense? Like, what was going on?
It was absolutely busy. I will say that this retail chain, there was only one other retail chain in that little podunk town that I was in. And during the holiday, yes, this was definitely a busy time. And they threw me on as a,
on the front lines.
On the front lines. And I learned as I went, I'm a fast learner, but they definitely threw me on when it was a very busy day. So
that's how you weed people out, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. But it was fun.
So now that you've been there for 10 years and you've, cycled through every single holiday known to man, do they tend to hire more before holidays? Do people tend to quit more after that? Like, what does the job landscape look like for your store during those times?
I would say that, surprisingly, a lot of people stay on during the holidays. And, we get a lot of people that quit during the summertime because obviously they want their free time. They don't want to be here. They go on vacation.
Hot girl summer.
Right.
Comedian Jared Freed says beach by noon.
Exactly. Like, they're waking up at noon and they're going to the beach till like 8 o'clock at night, and then they're staying partying till 4 o'clock in the morning. That kind of people.
I feel that there's really no time to go to a job.
Exactly. I mean, I don't know how they do it, but a lot of people. I don't see a lot of people quit after the holidays, surprisingly. And the holidays can be kind of fun because you are so fast paced that it's kind of like you're constantly working, you are busy, you are tired at the end of the day, but it's a fun environment to be in because you're kind of part of everyone's day-to-day life and trying to get through the holidays and stuff like that.
So what were some things initially and throughout the years that you liked about the job? And what were some things that you were like, okay, I could potentially leave for this because this sucks?
Well, it depends on what level I was at.
Okay,
when I was at the bottom levels, I was learning a lot. So to me, I like to learn. I love to learn as much as possible. And with the company that I'm with, a lot of it is they will teach you and they will move you up to the next position, which is what I loved. The
growth potential is huge.
Exactly. And I didn't have to stay in one position. With that became, you got different levels to that one department that I'm in. And I could learn more and more. So there was never an end to my means there. I was never just stuck in one position.
What about the higher level?
Right. What?
What about the higher level?
The higher level comes with a little bit more, I don't know how to say this like nicely, but...
No, we're not here to be nice.
I know. There's just... HR would definitely kill me for saying stuff like this.
Thank you. That's like exactly the point.
Literally the point of the podcast. But There's a lot when you get into the upper management level that, you see a lot of the bullshit.
Amazing.
See a lot of bullshit and you see a lot of toxicity, and you don't always see it every store, but
is it from is it internal toxicity, or is it like the nature of the work that makes it toxic?
I feel like it's a corporate thing. I feel like maybe if I go to another corporate job as well, it would be kind of like that environment. I've seen a lot
you're
about
getting
that.
To the meat here.
Right. I've seen that a lot on, online. I've seen other people say the same stuff that we say at
about
work.
About their store.
Okay. But in different stores and different jobs, the corporate level. But I think once you get into management, there's a lot of, you find that there's a lot of incompetent people in management, and that complicates a lot of your job, your everyday job. So that also makes it tough to deal with. And that's kind of one of the things that I don't like, is having to deal with people who don't know what they're doing, telling you what to do.
So, you've been at your company for 10 years.
Right.
I've been at mine, for 2, and then I was at another company for another 2, and then I did a lot of freelancing work, and I even worked for FIU. So I've seen 4 jobs, you've seen 1, and I'm here to tell you it doesn't change.
Yeah, exactly.
No matter what industry you're in, no matter what you're doing. For some reason, people are bamboozling decision makers,
right,
to get into these leadership positions. So actually, I want to hone in on something, because in the past, you've told me that in order to get promoted at your chain, you've got to get a recommendation from your manager and potentially pass an exam. So can you tell us about that process? Because I feel like that's not the case across industries.
Right.
So where I feel like, anyone could just become a manager, for instance, in tech or something like that.
Right.
You guys have exams to kind of weed out these kinds of people. But I guess, if you're a good studier and test taker, that doesn't really equate to competent.
That's what I would say, because, there's a lot of people that do pass these exams because they know how to answer the exam questions.
Are they open-ended, or are they multiple choice?
So there is a knowledge portion. So obviously you have to have some kind of knowledge of your department.
Okay.
But there is I would say a personality quiz, where they're more checking to see if you're a consistent person rather than if
not stupid.
Right.
Okay.
Well, they want to make sure.
Stupid is a personality trait.
They literally ask the same question over and over again, but in different ways. So,
that would drive me insane.
Right, and it does. But if you recognize that pattern and you're answering that, you get a high score on that. That's how to pass that test.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is people are gaming the system, the ones that are smart enough to do that.
Right, and then you need the manager's recommendation, and a lot of confident people, not competent, confident people.
Thank you.
They get that recommendation from their manager because it's very easy to build relationships.
Put that on a shirt. Confident.
Not competent. That would definitely be, I would buy that shirt, because a lot of people in my company are confident, but they're not very competent at their job. And, they get these relationships with the upper echelon, and they get themselves promoted. And, a lot of that trickles down into
what portion, of moving up,
right,
does networking play?
A lot in this company.
So is there a scenario where I could, fail or kind of pass, just barely pass the exam portion,
right,
get a whatever kind of recommendation from my manager, but I know someone higher up, and all of a sudden, I'm in that position? Well, does that happen?
So you definitely have to pass the test.
Okay.
But there is a portion where you can get, a really low score and it's still passing. But there's definitely people that have gotten low scores, haven't had the recommendation of, the person higher up than them, but they know someone in the company. Yeah, there's a lot of nepotism that goes around.
You can tell me if you want to share this or not, and we can just move on, and I'll probably just cut it out.
Okay.
But you had a manager who kind of told you something a little perceptive, I feel. You passed the exam, but he told you something. He said, I don't really feel like you like people. Can you? What I know of you is you're a very determined, motivated person at work. And you'll tell us a little bit about how often those promotions come around. But any opportunity you've had to take an exam, you're taking that exam.
Yes.
You're getting that recommendation. And up until that point, you'd pretty much gotten a recommendation from everybody that you had worked under up until this guy. What happened?
You know, a lot of it too is I feel like in a corporate environment, you're supposed to say yes, 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 yes. You're never supposed to disagree with anyone. And I kind of got tired of being disrespected by the particular person. So when I did speak out, I don't think that resonated with them at all. So I definitely did get stuck, and he voiced it in ways that he was saying that I wasn't doing my job right. But I definitely know that I was doing my job right because the customers were still coming up to me and I was still being nice to these people. Yes, you do have difficult customers, but he would make it seem like I had always had difficult customers. So, you know,
my question with that is like, what did he gain, from keeping you where you were? And like, what is he bored? Like, he just wants to make you look bad. I will say this. Again, your scenario is unique because you spoke out, you were telling people what's up, and in another corporate scenario, they might look for ways to get rid of you.
Right.
And maybe that's what this guy was doing, but obviously like your job performance is showing that you're doing a stellar job. So like, what happened? Did you like move from his position? Like, are you still working under him?
I actually got moved, but for a different reason, but I'm still at a good store, so it's not.
That's good. So when you get promoted, how does that work? Do you stay in your store? Do you move to another location? What does that look like?
Most of the time you move to a different location, which is great because once you're in one level, in my particular department, you can be in a lower level and you're kind of among your peers still. And then they can promote you to the same store and you don't really have the respect of your peers as the upper management because you were kind of with them as a peer. I would imagine
that creates a little bit of resentment. And I'm not saying this about you, but I'm saying this maybe you about other people. Like, you're in your group and someone confident, not competent, gets promoted over you and they keep you there. That has to do something to employee morale and like the way you go about your job. So I feel like that's very smart.
Yes. I mean, it's very rare that they keep them in the same spot, but it is so that they can move them to, and usually when you get promoted, you're at a really good store that performs well. So when you get promoted, they kind of put you at a lower store so that you can learn more and you're not always dealing with business as well. So they make it kind of a smart move to.
Something that your company does, I'm noticing, is that like they're very invested in the people that are currently working for them. They want to see them grow. Obviously, they don't want you to leave. And it sounds like they appreciate you.
Yes.
So has there ever been a time where you were like, I'm done. I need to leave this place.
Yes.
I've been here for too long. What did that look like? What were some scenarios that were like, I have to leave?
Like you said, I got stuck with that one particular person. And when you're in the same position, I think up until that point, I had moved up in my position. So, I started at the bottom and I started working my way up. And once I got to where I am now, obviously I'm hungry for more. I want to go more. I want to learn more. I want to do more things. Like, I don't want to just stay in my one particular department because I've already mastered my department, I feel. And that one particular person kept me in that same spot. And to get to the next level, you kind of have to show yourself off. You kind of have to show what you can do. And they want you to be more proficient in other departments, which I had worked in other departments as well. I had shown that I have skills in different departments. But nothing was being relayed to the upper management about that from that one particular person. And that kind of person, he's the only one that can kind of get me to that next level. It's that recommendation and the tests. I had already passed the test. I was just trying to get the recommendation. I couldn't get the recommendation. I felt stuck in my career.
So is there no one who's like looking at your employee file or whatever and is like, okay, Kristen has gotten 7, previous manager recommendations and all of a sudden this guy is not recommending her. Is there no one to look at that and be like,
There's no file. They don't put it in your file. It is all word of mouth.
What?
Yes. It is all word of mouth.
There's no paper trail of your success in this way?
Well, they can see what you've been promoted to, and they can see which stores you've been at. So obviously you've been at good stores. But if they don't know any recommendations, say you get a new upper management and they don't know any of the recommendations from the previous store management, then you're really kind of just lost. Like, no one knows anything about you, so they don't get anything. They have no recommendation for you, and they don't know anything about you. They don't know how you work. They don't know how great you are. So if your upper management isn't telling them how great you are, then you're going to stay where you are, pretty much.
Wow, that's interesting. Like, there's so much potential, but all it takes is one person to step in and be like, no, nobody's going to hear about you.
Right, exactly.
That's really interesting.
Yes.
So typically, studies have shown, and basic data has shown, that every 2 to 3 years you change a job and you can get potentially 20 to 30% of an increase on your salary, potentially better benefits.
Right.
You have stayed at your company for 10 years, and what have those raises look like? I know there's like a bonus involved, so you'll tell us about that, but what has made it attractive to stay for 10 years, seeing whatever percentage that you're seeing, when you could potentially leave and get 30% more than what you're making right now?
Well, I mean, when you say that, maybe I should quit and get another job.
Everyone at your store to see if they resonate.
Maybe I should go into tech. I hear that's a big thing right now.
Hey, do a little coding.
Right?
Do a little math.
I could learn that, right? Not that hard. No, but I mean, the appeal to me up until this point, honestly, has been the movement for me. So, I went from that one position, I graduated to the next position, I got promoted to the next position. And with that has been nice, significant raises.
Okay, they're appreciating you over there.
Right. And, when I was at the bottom, I was working really hard. I wasn't full-time at that time when I first started, but, I got it within a year because I was basically working for full-time hours, coming in whenever they needed me, that kind of stuff. So, I kind of continued that trend over the years, and the pay has increased significantly with each jump. And then once I got into management, that's when it definitely jumped for me. And the appeal of this company is that not only do you get the pay increases every year, we get a pay increase every year, which
How much
is really
is that?
nice. It depends. We were salary at one point. Now we're hourly. I think I just got $1.75. That's a pretty good raise for me. Mm-hmm. Obviously with inflation, it probably sucks, but I can't do math, so that's why I'm not in tech.
So we won't be seeing you in tech.
Yeah, no. Don't count on me there. But the raises have been great. And then when you get to move to different stores, once your store does, a significant amount of money, you get better bonuses, and your bonuses really attract you. I'm not gonna lie. The bonuses are great. They really make my pay.
Yeah, I was going to say, so if you're not making the base you want, there's always a potential, and bonuses are just for management?
Yes.
Okay.
Just for management. Well, they used to
the
give
rest of us down here are suffering.
They used to give them to the lower, but they kind of made it as an incentive to become a manager.
Okay, I can see that.
Right.
Okay, so you have a decent base pay, you're constantly moving, which I guess gives you, and especially because you're going from store to store, I guess it gives you the illusion that you're changing jobs and that you have something fresh and new to do. You get bonuses. What does your PTO look like? And you did mention that you're working at a Fortune 100 company. So this means you're also privy to, stocks and options and stuff. Tell us about that. And the recent split.
Well, the recent split was great. I'm not going to say what it was because you'll probably find out what my company is.
Well, all we know is that it's split.
It was not Amazon, guys. Just know that. But, I did... what were we talking about? The stock options. So once I started working, I was, I think I had to work 1,000 to 1,500 hours. And then I started receiving stock. So that company started giving me stock for working for them. And as the years have grown by, I think after 3 years, I started to own that stock. And then I was given the option to purchase that stock. So my company is doing really well. The stock option is great to have. As far as retirement, I
was going to say, you've heard of some people cashing out. Where are they at pay-wise?
I mean, a lot of the people that are retiring from my company right now are multimillionaires.
Multimillionaires from working in retail.
Without a college degree.
Without a college degree.
Without a college degree.
I forgot that. That's insane.
Right?
Now, this isn't for nothing, though. You're still working retail. You're working those killer hours. You're usually working holidays.
Yes.
You know, you're working. I mean, you guys deserve it. But that's really, I feel like that's really encouraging for someone who wants to, you know, that's like I heard about this woman years ago. She started at McDonald's as a cashier and she just, you know, busted her ass. Right. And she kept working. And she ended up owning like a few of them. And I'm like, I wish we heard more stories like that, because like when you're, and you work in retail business, but that doesn't necessarily mean like you're not career minded. Like people think, oh, she's a cashier, she's, you know, a retail manager, whatever. She's not career minded because, you know, she's working at a store.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that, you know, there isn't huge earning potential and there's not huge perks for staying where you're at.
Well, and I know a lot of people that have stayed as the cashier role and they're still retiring as multimillionaires. Oh, shoot. So you don't even have to go into management and you can become a multimillionaire. It's very encouraging.
Gonna quit. Just kidding. I'm not standing on my feet for hours. That's just me. Okay, wait. I don't know if you know this. So another store, another retail chain, they allow their, and I've seen a few of them like this, they allow their cashiers to sit.
Yeah. I wish.
Has that ever been brought up? Has that ever, like, your cashiers don't sit, a lot of cashiers don't sit, but why not?
They all want to. They all tell me they want to. Some of them get doctor's notes so they can. So
I was gonna say, is there a petition out there? Like, why isn't this like store standard? Is there a perception that they look lazy or like?
Well, no. I mean, our company is very customer service focused, so they feel that if you're just sitting at your register doing nothing, sitting down, you're not greeting your customers. You're not really going the full potential you can to make that customer feel welcome. So I understand. Like, it would be great if they could sit down. It's definitely hard to be on your feet for 8 hours a day.
I was gonna say, and as a manager, you're still also not sitting. Like, you're not in an office somewhere. You're on the floor.
For the most of the day, yes. I do have days where I can sit down and be in the office when I have to work on the schedule and all that. But yes, walking around daily, I definitely get my 10,000 steps in.
That's amazing. So you mentioned that your store is very customer-centric focused.
Yes.
And I want to get into the specifics of that. What have been the highs and lows of dealing with customers?
Definitely been a lot of lows. I will say that. I'll be honest. It is not easy working retail, people. I will just tell you that. The stock options are great, but you will deal with the bullshit.
Deal with some characters.
The bullshit. You will deal with the bullshit. And like I said, there's not a lot of confident people. Also not in management. Like the customer side, they're not confident either. So there's been a lot of interesting times that I've had to deal with customers where they're so wrong. They're so wrong.
So the customer's not always right with you.
No, they're not.
That's why you have.
And you want them to be right because you generally want to help these people. You know, that's your job, but they're not always right, and they're pains in the asses for it.
Can you tell us of one time where the customer was like so beyond wrong?
I'll bring up this one story, and I think this is like the best story I've ever had happen to me ever at a store. But I was, closing one night, and I had a lady. All of a sudden, I hear screaming across the front end of my store, and I'm like, what is going on? I have one of my baggers. He's like, Kristen, you need to come over here right now. We need some help. I'm like, okay, what's wrong? Like, I go over there, and this lady is screaming at this man and his wife. And she's like, he threw an avocado at my head. He should go to jail. You should call the police. But she was also really drunk. So,
it's late. You're closing.
It's closing. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. Like, can we resolve this without the police? And like, her boyfriend ended up coming to get her. She screamed the whole way out of the parking lot. I'm like, there's no way that this guy threw an avocado at her head, right? So she had called the police herself. So the police show up and they're like, let's just look at the video and see what happened. So I look at the video and no shit, this guy, I guess she bumped into him, scratched his arm with a bag of chips. He got offended.
Are you guys working at a store or a bar?
I don't know. Drunk people show up at my store all the time. But so we look at the video. The guy gets scratched by the chips. He looks deeply offended by this. Deeply offended. Obviously, the lady doesn't know what she did because she's drunk. And he literally picks up an avocado. She's walking away and he pelts it at her head. And you could see her head physically go back. And this poor woman was right. She got an avocado thrown at her head, but she was drunk, so she was kind of not credible at the time. And then I asked the police, like, is that assault with a deadly weapon? And they were like, not if it wasn't ripe. That was honestly one of the most unique situations I've ever had to deal with. But I'm not going to lie. There's a lot, there's a lot of times where I have helped customers and they've been very, very, very grateful. Like there have been times, I had one lady call me once and it was during the middle of a hurricane scare. And she asked me to deliver some water to her father who had just lost his wife. Poor guy. And he couldn't drive. He was kind of like, legally blind. So he didn't really have a way to get around. She was out of state. She was worried for him. So I drove over some water. He was so grateful. He had his dogs with him. He was so happy.
Something you see like on Good News Only.
Right. And it's stuff like that really bring you back from the lows. The good ones bring you back. Because not all customers are bad. A lot of customers just want to be helped. Once you help them, they're so grateful. There are a lot of people that don't want to be helped and they don't want a good answer, but there is good in customer service.
So way back when I used to work retail, and I'll just say it out loud, I worked at Neiman Marcus last call. I worked in the handbag department. Ooh. And scamming was like really huge in Neiman Marcus. People would, I can't believe the gall of people to do this, but like they would just take random items in their house and bring them to return at Neiman Marcus, no receipt, no tag, no nothing. Right. And it was like, Neiman Marcus last call sold a million things.
Right.
They could have potentially sold that article of clothing. I don't know. Like, so it was really hard to prove. And, I didn't work in the returns, so I never, but like you guys sell some food items. Right. So has anyone ever like returned food? Can you do that? And has anyone ever fought you on it?
Yes, and yes. You can literally go into your fridge right now, take something out that's like brown, rotted, and nasty, and come back to my store, and we will take it back and give you a full refund.
That is dedication. This is customer service.
It really
I wasn't
is.
questioning it, but now I'm like, I am very solidified, and you guys will do anything.
Yes, but people take advantage of that all the time. All the time. I can't even tell you how many times people brought me back expired stuff from like 2002. I'm like, are you aware this is 20 years old?
And you guys have to refund it?
No. I mean, yes.
What?
Yes. I'm not going to say no because technically, yes. Have I said no? Yes. Because that's ridiculous. That's honestly ridiculous. Cleaning out your pantry just to come back and get some money. Obviously.
And do you give them cash or you give them like a store gift card,
store credit?
Okay. All right.
Unless they have a receipt.
I can return. Okay. So you've heard the saying that's like when you buy vegetables yourself, they somehow rot faster. Yes. So I'm going to take all my vegetables. I'm going to take all my fruit and I'm going to take them back and then I'm going to do groceries. That's what I'm going to do.
That's pretty much how most people live off of this. There's a lot of people that also steal and return stuff, and it's, you kind of just have to take it because, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it's like 1% of our sales. It's really doesn't add up to
Fortune 100 and we make so much money that like
we do really well. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, that's good. The fact that like those kinds of things they can account for and it still doesn't even hit them.
Yeah, it creates a lot of bitterness in the associates, but it's just one of those things where it's kind of like what we're known for. And, it doesn't create an entitled customer. They feel like they can take anything. I've had a lady eat an entire cake and return it to me and said that she didn't like the taste of it. I was like, well, why did you eat the whole thing then?
No, but like, what do you, let's role play this.
You're not allowed to say anything.
No, what do you mean? Hi, here's this empty bag. I didn't like the way the cake tasted, but I don't have any of it. I'd like to return it.
Absolutely. Here's your money back.
What? No.
You want to set the good example.
It's part of the brand.
Right. It's part of the customer service. It's part of the brand. You want to be setting the right example for the people under you.
Immediately, I'm scheming. Immediately, I'm like, what can
I can't even tell you how many people just jump on that.
So, I buy some Old Spice deodorant.
Okay.
That's what Zach uses. I don't like it.
Right.
I tried it. I've used it for a week. It's gross.
It's got hair on it.
My DNA is on that.
It's got hair on it.
It's got hair on it.
Yeah. Yep.
Hi.
Yep.
I didn't like this. I don't want to return it.
Take it back. Here's your money. You could physically take out like a piece of fruit, lick it in front of me, and then set it down and say, I didn't like the taste of the skin, and I will return it for you. It's ridiculous.
I think that's unmatched.
Sometimes.
I don't think, again, and do these customers, do they show in their face that they're doing something, like wrong, or that they're kind of embarrassed, or do they just like no shame? Like
some of them are no shame. They absolutely, like one lady lied to me and said that, she had bought all of this expired stuff from the store yesterday. And I'm like, there's no way that you bought stuff that was 5 years expired, because we rotate our items.
A couple days?
No,
sure.
5 years. And I questioned her about it because, I was kind of feeling in a mood to question people that day.
You had time today.
I was like, there is no way. I'm going to tell you right now, you did not buy that from our store. And she's like, no, I absolutely did. It was yesterday. You can check the camera. I was on there. And she knows I'm not going to go check the camera.
Of course,
but she was sticking to her damn story. And I'm like, I will do this return for you, but I'm going to let you know I don't believe you in anything that you said. I literally don't believe anything.
And she was probably like, okay.
Yeah, she was like, okay. Dead shame, no shame at all. I'm like,
okay,
all right.
Here's my thing. If they bring in an item, that they definitely didn't buy there, how do you value the item to return it? Like, what are you scanning? Like, what's happening?
So we have a system that you can scan it and see a lot of the product. If they're scamming us, they already know it shows up in our system.
Okay, smart. Okay.
So they either take a receipt from something that they found in the trash, and they go shopping around the store and they bring it back up to us. They've done that. A lot of them will just get it at a cheaper price somewhere, like maybe like a flea market, and return it there. They'll steal it and they'll return it. They find product that we sell at different. Obviously, my store is a little bit more pricier than other retail stores, so they can often buy stuff from another chain that's cheaper, and they'll return it at our store for $2 more, and that's just something that happens.
The hustle like that really isn't worth it. Like, it seems like a lot of work, but I mean, like, if you guys are just out here granting them, I mean, I guess it's not that much work.
These people drive like Mercedes and BMWs and Teslas, so they're making money somewhere.
You told me about an instance once, and I may have the details wrong, so maybe clear it up for me.
Okay.
There was like a thievery happening, like, and it was like a family, and you saw them like run into their minivan or something. Like, they had like a whole shopping cart worth of stuff.
That's
and like
happened.
Kids were involved.
Yes, that has happened. There's been a lot of times where they've involved the whole family. Yeah, once they hit the parking lot, we're not allowed to touch them. So, because you could get run over by a car, you could get shot, you could get stabbed, it's all for our own safety. But I have had I was at one store I just gotten promoted to, and this store particularly had a lot of stealing, and they had a security guard, but it was two. Oh, I'm not gonna be nice. They were crackheads. Two crackheads. I'm not gonna be nice. Two crackheads and a baby. I think that's a TV show. But they had their baby with them, and they were stealing a whole bunch of like frozen shrimp. And the security guard stopped them, took the cart from them. They ran and left the baby inside the shopping cart.
No.
And if the police hadn't have shown up, they probably would have left their baby with.
We are back for the second time. Kristen has revealed her employer again. She was so heated in the moment. Heated. I understand. You know what we'll do? Instead of cutting it out, I'll just go beep, like, and do that. That's actually, so she's not cursing. She's saying her employer's name, which is even more taboo on this podcast.
Even more taboo. Oh, man.
Oh, man. Oh, my God. Wait. So the police were called and they came back for the baby?
Yes, they came back.
And they didn't get
They had no choice. Yes, I believe they did.
Yeah, it's like CPS or something.
I don't know what happened. I know that the police took them somewhere and they took the baby with them. So once they left the store, I had no clue what happened. But to be honest, like really, that's what you're gonna do is you're gonna leave your child behind. Like that's how desperate you are.
The legs are gonna get stuck.
That poor baby. He was just sitting there like staring around.
That breaks my heart.
Yeah. People get desperate. They get desperate.
That is tough.
Yeah.
All right. So those are some really good stories. So I've got a game for you.
Okay.
And I'm calling it Whose Problem Is It? So in this game, I want to get your opinion on common customer service complaints, and you'll tell me, whose problem really is it?
Okay.
All right. So the first one is long wait times on hold. Is it is it the company's problem for not staffing enough people, or is it my problem because I'm calling to make a complaint?
It's your problem because you're being annoying and calling the store and asking for...
Don't call the store.
It's usually a very stupid customer question, okay?
But you know what drives me insane, and I can't believe it's legal, is that there are like actual like stores and companies that are selling products or services or whatever, and they have no customer service phone number. And it's just some of them is just an email. Some of them is just a live chat.
So are they real companies?
I mean, damn, I hope so. But there are products. I've tried. I can't think of a product off the top of my head right now. Right. But I've definitely had trouble finding their customer service. Oh no, I got one. Freaking Boost Mobile.
Boost Mobile. Oh my gosh.
I had Boost Mobile, and I had to literally Google their customer service number because it wasn't intuitively on their website. And
that's frustrating. That's really frustrating.
I mean, maybe for good reason. I guess they don't really have long wait times.
Yeah. Honestly, it is the company's problem for not staffing enough people. I was just being glib, but
yeah.
It is difficult when it's really busy and the phone is ringing and you have to choose between the customer in front of you or the customer on the phone. So that's a lot of delay.
So what is the priority there?
A lot of times the customer in front of you, because that person is there, physically there, about to complain to you if you don't help them, that kind of thing.
So you guys also do pickup, I can park and you can put your stuff put the stuff in my car.
Yeah.
Where's the priority there? So let's say your store is overrun. We've got people lining up all the cashiers. We don't really have other shoppers.
Right.
What's the priority? Obviously the people there.
No, for the curbside, it's always them. They're their priority because it's something that we offer as an extra service, and it's important that we keep people using that service. So to the company, they're the priority. Shit,
and people would still come into the store because they need to get stuff.
Right.
But they could stop using curbside.
Exactly. And the curbside is a lot of extra money. So it's worth it to the company to make them a priority.
If I do curbside, are my products marked up in price? But for instance, if I did an Instacart or another shopper or something like that.
Right. I think most of them are marked up in price. I don't think, if you compare, I believe that you're paying an extra 30 cents on the item.
Damn. That adds up.
Yeah, it does. And I don't know how people use it.
No wonder they're curbside for sure.
Yeah. Well, and then we use affiliate companies. So I think they get most of the profit from that.
Okay. So they absorb that. Right. Yeah, just to be able to use it.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, that's good. So next one is an unavailable or out of stock product.
Ooh. What about it?
Whose problem is it? Is it when I go to
the store? It's everyone's problem. Pandemic, baby. Pandemic.
Okay, this reminds me of a trip you and I took with a few other people, and we went to a tapas place, and it was
everything was out of stock.
It wasn't peak pandemic, but we were definitely not in this way where people were traveling comfortably. There were still masks involved.
Right.
So we sit down at this restaurant, and my elitist ass is I'll take the octopus. And they're no, sorry, we don't have octopus. And it was a seafood leaning restaurant.
Yeah, it was.
And me making myself look worse. I'm how the hell did it not have octopus? My God. And so finally, I'm like so flabbergasted. I'm like,
but then you ordered something else.
I'm like, the menu is small as hell anyway.
Yeah.
And so the waiter's literally like, ma'am, we're in a pandemic. It's kind of hard to get like our shipments of octopus for you.
I'm pretty sure the octopus didn't die in the pandemic. Okay, what did COVID see?
Exactly. I was like,
you can't go fish for it yourself.
I'm like, is it stuck on a ship somewhere? Like, am I able to get it before I leave? Like, can I take it to go? I was like, man, you guys really don't have any octopus back there. All right, I'll take something else. And then I also end up ordering some kind of like, again,
weird thing, right?
Maybe I'm trying to be too exotic, but it was like some hibiscus nonsense or whatever.
Yeah, I remember
like,
that.
Hey, we're also out of like hibiscus and like half of the ingredients that
the drink. Yeah. I think you were trying to order some kind of like fancy drink, and they were like, "Yeah, no, we just don't have."
They're like, "If you're not here to order chicken fingers and fries, get out."
I don't even think they had chicken fingers and fries. I think they had like, I don't even remember what I ate that night.
Like, that was an awful experience.
I think
terrible. We were starving after.
Yeah.
To get food. Okay, so
definitely out of stock is our issue. Because it's
so. How do you guys have any like, because for instance, like an example would be like Trader Joe's, like something like they post something on TikTok and all of a sudden it's like out of stock.
Everyone wants it.
And at that point I feel like it's the customer's problem because like they're just, if you find a good product at Trader Joe's, you gatekeep that.
Right.
Because, you don't want
cookie butter
going around and buying it. Like I know some people, like I think there's like people will kill me, but it's like sweet potato, like macaroni and cheese. I don't know what it is. Some vegan nonsense. I have no idea. Don't quote me on that.
Okay.
But point is, like, I know people that are still trying to try it a year later.
Right.
And it's so like cult. So do you guys have any products like that in your store where it's like people are always coming to get it and you can't keep up with the demand of it? Or are you guys pretty good in terms of like stock?
I would say that my store, or the company in particular, is not really good at getting new items when they come out. So a lot of people get stuck on these new items and they're like, oh, I want to try this, and we're usually like the last ones to get it. Yeah. So yeah, that happens. But I've never had anything that was like super viral that anyone came in for. So I actually have a story. So in the formula shortage, right? Oh,
so we're out with formula, and I know you guys, I mean, I've gone to the stores, like they're doing their best.
Right.
I don't use formula, but I thought I was like a genius because I'm still breastfeeding. So I'm like, oh, instead of buying formula, I'll just, buy the fertilizer instead. So I was like, I'm going to go buy lactation, like protein powder.
Oh,
and I'm like, okay, I'll build up my like lactation storage, and then like, I'll produce more milk so I can store more milk. And that's how I get ahead of that.
Right.
Everyone and their literal mom was like, same. So I go on the website, and the company was called Milk Dust. It was like invented by, some nutrition nurse, whatever.
Okay.
And I see that it's out of stock immediately. Again, everyone has the same idea as me.
Right.
So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to put in my order. I don't really need it right away. Maybe, it's going to take a week, 2 weeks, like whatever. They didn't really put, what was going on.
Right.
So I put it, and I got ahead of the game too. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to order one, and I'm going to sign myself up for the subscription that comes monthly. That way I don't have to renew anything.
Smart.
Okay. A month goes by, and I'm like, what is going on? So I check my order. It says it's being processed. They have no customer service line.
That is a problem.
I email them. And I'm like, hey, just wondering, where my protein powder is. I ordered, a month ago. What's up? And they're like, hey, thanks so much for ordering with us. We're waiting on some ingredients for the protein powder. So we're not able to ship it out like right away. We're having supply chain issues, whatever.
Right.
And I said, okay, you know what? No problem. I can completely understand that. I've grown. I'm teachable from my octopus moment. So I'm like, you know what? Patience. Cool. 8 weeks.
8 weeks.
And I'm like, okay, what? And I'm like, wait, are they even in service anymore? Like,
probably not.
To the ground? Like, what's going on? So I see on social media that people are like, you guys got to answer your customer service emails and like that. And I'm like, okay, so there's disgruntled customers. So I go on their website, and this time the product says, out of stock still, but we will ship it within 10 to 14 days of when you order. So if it's July 1st.
Right.
If I order it right now, it'll ship anywhere from July 10th to July 14th.
Right.
But the order I did in May
does not apply to that.
Doesn't apply to that. So I'm like, what's going on? So I email them again and say, hey, I understand you guys are having supply chain issues, but I just wanted to know like what's going on. Hey, Celeste, sorry, we don't even have a shipping date for you. It could be another 2 to 3 days. It could be another 2 to 3 weeks. Like, we don't really know. And so I'm sorry.
At this point?
This time I'm getting angry.
Right.
The person was like, okay, thanks, for messaging, signed Aaron. I respond. And I'm like,
listen, Aaron.
No, I literally said, Aaron, I'm seriously beginning to question Milk Dust's logistical operations. I'm like, please explain to me how it makes sense how a product I ordered over 2 months ago is shipping later than if I went on your website right now and it'll ship in 2 weeks. Right. I'm like, that doesn't make sense. I'm like, something needs to happen. Either you need to stop taking orders, which corporate America, they're never going to do that.
Never.
I'm like, you either need to stop taking orders or you need to update the messaging on your website because it's really misleading. I'm like, I'm about to go cancel and the thing is they send you an email that of course, they're delayed shipping. But if you cancel your order, if you decide to order again, moves to the back of the line. You don't take your place,
That's frustrating.
So I'm pissed. I'm like, by the time I get this, I'll be done breastfeeding.
Yeah.
What's the point?
There's no point.
The next day, I
ships?
get an email from Milk Dust saying your order has shipped.
Aaron's like, this chick is not fucking around.
Yeah, they're like, you know what? Replace an order.
Let me not fuck with Celeste today.
Exactly. They're like, this girl's messaged us more times, So it's crazy because it's like, I don't want to be aggressive about a product, and I went from like wanting it / wanting to get ahead to like almost needing it, and now it's like I don't want to take it out on you, but like who else is around?
Poor Aaron.
Sorry,
She's
Aaron.
probably not even like part of the company. She's just answering
she's
emails.
Like some contractor freelancer just hired to go through their emails, and she's probably just like, I'm doing the best that I can,
right?
And shout out to Milk Dust. They sent it to me and it doesn't taste great. But
shout out to Aaron for getting it done.
Thank you, Aaron.
No, but I've had that happen. There's a lot of times when people will order stuff and it doesn't come in.
What about in the pandemic? Like,
oh my gosh.
Peak toilet paper's gone.
Nothing.
Like,
we had nothing. And
were people just accepting that? Or
no, they were complaining about it the entire time. But what else am I going to tell you? It's a pandemic. Like, obviously now we're not in a pandemic. There's no excuse. There's really just no excuse for it unless it's like a product that's, I hear like the avocados got held by the cartel in Mexico at one point. But, it's just a keeping up with your inventory kind of game.
Yeah, and
if you're not,
you guys have been in the game forever, so you have an idea at least what all your stores is doing.
But pandemic was hard. I'm not gonna lie.
You almost quit.
Where's water and toilet paper? I don't know. Like, turn on your faucet.
Toilet paper. I think you or someone else told us that they like just screw toilet paper. We're doing bidet style.
Yeah.
Like, it's just
why not? At this point, just you got towels at home, right? You got towels and water.
You do what you have to do.
You got soap.
Yeah.
No, I would hide toilet paper for friend and family because we get access to it first. So why not? Of course.
I mean, there has to be some perks,
But people would also overbuy because
and then you guys had to put limits on
buying.
Stuff.
Yes. Yeah. And that's kind of ridiculous in my opinion. I don't necessarily agree with that. I don't understand why you would buy 20 things of toilet paper when you're only going to go through one in like 3 months. So
what if they're also saving for family and friends?
Not many of them were because a lot of them returned it at the end of the pandemic.
Oh my God.
Yes.
I forgot.
Going back, circle around to the returning.
Full circle.
Full circle.
Oh my God, that's insane. Yep. I didn't even think about that. Ooh, they held down on that one. They're like, no, wait.
All the panic buying got returned right to the store.
Damn, that's ridiculous. Because I think there were some people that were selling toilet paper like at a ridiculous price, and I think it like became illegal or something. They probably could have like at least right in the beginning sold it for like $40
Yeah,
and
they
got it more
could've.
than what you guys got. Okay. So this one's interesting. Repeating the customer's problem. So according to my research, you know, customers hate when you repeat their problems back to them. So this happens when you're either transferred to someone new or dealing with an agent who isn't really paying close attention. I feel like it's kind of patronizing. Do you guys do that? Is that a tactic? Is that part of your training?
No.
Or do you guys just like shut up? Yes, I'll do whatever you want.
Absolutely, we try and help them out right away. But like I will say, like some customer service associates have answered the phone and then they forgot about it because they got busy with other customers and someone else picks up the phone and they have no clue what's on the phone and that person gets insanely frustrated because
Can you imagine, like, you put down the phone, you're like, all right, BRB, and then someone else comes, they don't even know that someone's on the phone and they just, I'm sure someone's like accidentally hung up at some point.
Yeah. Some people get hung up by accident all the time.
That's like when you're on hold for like 30, 40 minutes.
Oh my God, and they hang up on you.
It's definitely someone who forgot.
Oh God.
I would be, so I would think, I think I'm a very technical person. I think I'm good at, except, you know, before this show when I couldn't figure out how to plug in the mic. But other than that, I think I'm pretty apt to those things. But something that I have an irrational fear of, like these things don't even exist anymore, but like, you know, the phones with like multiple panels where you can like put someone on hold and put someone, a receptionist?
We have those.
Never gonna be me.
They're so easy. They literally tell you what to do. I think they're insanely
to
easy.
like accidentally hang up. I feel like I would be accidentally hanging up on people all the time.
I mean, there's been times where I was trying to learn how to transfer people on the phone, and if you don't hit complete and you just hang up the phone, you definitely hang up on that person. But, you know, the phones that we use, it says, you know, complete, transfer, page, that kind of stuff.
Okay, good to know, but that's like an irrational fear I have. All right, so I think I know what your opinion is going to be because, again, you're working somewhere like very customer service focused, but an uninterested service representative, is it your problem because I don't care enough? Is it my problem? Just, you know, is it the employer's problem? Does it have something to do with training?
I mean, yeah, it probably has something to do with training in the workforce nowadays, to be honest.
It seems like nobody wants to work these days.
Wants to work. And if they do work, they put the very bare minimum into their job. And I don't blame them. They're not getting paid much. Like, the minimum wage obviously is still low, but...
I wonder what you think about this argument. So Zach and I talk about this all the time because, like, sometimes, like, we'll go to Pollo Tropical down the street and we'll get an associate that's, like, not particularly nice or, you know, they could be having a bad day or they could just be generally disgruntled and be like, I hate this job, fuck this, like, whatever.
Right.
And he'll be like, no, I get it, you know, like, they're not getting paid much. And I'm like, but is that...
It's an entry-level job.
Right. And I'm like, okay, but wait, but why is that my problem? Why is that my problem that they're not getting paid enough? Like, who, like...
No, yeah, you're right.
You're getting paid. Like, I don't know.
I mean, you're definitely getting paid
too. I'm not saying to, like, take abuse or take anything that's unfair, but just because something's unpleasant doesn't make it unfair.
Right.
Like,
no one forced you to come to work today.
Yeah, no one forced you or put a gun to your head and said, okay, like, you're gonna toast plantains for 8 hours. But and I don't know, maybe it's like the way I was raised, but like, you go in, you do a job, you're getting paid for it. Like, where else is your entitlement coming from? Again, barring, you know, being treated badly, that's different.
Right.
But like, you know, it's not unfair and you don't like have to quit because like you're making bowls all day, you know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
That's the nature of the job.
You shouldn't have gotten that job then. Or if you got into the job and realized you didn't like it, then I feel like you should get a different job
and leave, or like, you know, or like go to Chipotle, which I wouldn't even recommend because that place gets
it
mine
sucks
too
lately.
Yeah, so
sucks.
Tell me this. So speaking of an out of stock item, I went to Chipotle and the line was of course super long. And I go up and my go-to protein is steak.
Okay.
I feel like any bowl place, one of their top proteins is going to be steak.
Right.
So I go to Chipotle and I'm like, hey, I'll take a burrito and I'll take steak. And he's like, and the guy's like, we don't have steak. Excuse me? You don't have a main protein?
I'm sorry,
like,
what?
And they had been pushing, I don't know if it was like sofritas, carnitas, some vegan stuff that like was brand new, and they had a ton of that.
Tofu?
But they didn't have tofu, whatever. But they didn't have steak. And I'm like, what do you mean you don't have steak? Like I was thinking it, but I accidentally said it out loud. And the guy was like, he turned around and he's like, you see this grill? There's nobody there to fry up steak. So I don't have steak.
Wow.
Or something else. And I'm like,
that's intense.
oh my God. I'm like, oh, that sucks. And I'm like, okay, supply chain, hiring, nobody wants to work, whatever. But it's like, it's a cyclical conversation that we don't have time for, because it's like, who is supposed to work these jobs, and like, how long are you supposed to stay there for? But I guess we think about it this way. Those companies don't have a growth model the way your company does, like there's no place to move. There's nowhere to go. Like if I'm at Chipotle, and I'm not saying there's not a place to go. In fact, I'll say there's not a fast, or a streamlined position to go, because, and maybe we need to ask Chipotle, but like what that career path looks like. Like, when do I get to shovel guac, and then when can I move up to tell other people to shovel guac?
Right. When do I get to be the cashier instead of like the tortilla
and
guy?
It seems like Chipotle gives very startup vibes, where you wear many hats.
Right.
Like one day you're a cashier,
you're in the kitchen.
The other day you're doing like online orders.
Right.
Tomorrow you're making rice. Like it's just anything goes. And I feel like that kind of, not confusion, but just like overlapping of tasks.
It's too much.
Also like would not lend to job security. It's like, what am I doing every day? But I guess, also every day is different. A lot of speculation. I'll be seeking out a Chipotle employee.
No, but I agree, because we actually have position of bagging and, helping all that. And it's hard to get adults who want to do that, and then there's certain things like at nighttime that need to be done that can't be done by minors, and it's hard to get people in those positions, because how can you entice someone to want to do the dirty work when there's other jobs that you can be doing that's better than that?
It's crazy, because like there's cashiers, and then there's like, let's say an executive of your company, right? Mm-hmm. And it's like they're low on the chain because they're getting paid like $8 or $10, whatever it is now, but they're still very necessary.
Yes, and very necessary.
One could argue that obviously like these lower, quote unquote, lower paid people, but like that are still very necessary, they matter much more to the success of the store than the executive does.
They make the world go round.
Yeah.
And they get paid nothing.
And they get paid nothing. I mean, at least at your company, there's some growth. Who do you find does better at these retail roles? Do you find adults? Do you find kids, or, younger kids?
Usually adults. I mean, kids do okay if they're looking to make money. Then if they're money centric, then they're very good at their jobs. But I find that retired people that come to work for the company are the best ones.
Oh, really?
Yes. People that retired from other jobs or other companies, or have maybe had their own company and they come to work for my company, they do the best jobs and they're the most reliable.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. Because they already had a work ethic. They already knew. They've kind of matured.
Much older generation where work values were instilled in them.
Exactly. And I feel like a lot of these kids nowadays, not all of them, but some of them are just, they don't want to work. They don't have to work. Technically, their parents could support them. And they got the job because their parents told them to. And that's not much motivation for being at a job at all.
There's no buy-in.
What are you here for? You don't care about stock options. You don't care about a 401k. You're not even 18 years old yet.
Little do they know. They probably retire as a millionaire.
Yeah, I will say there's some that have come up to me and they're like, how do I start my 401k? How do I do this? I'm like, oh my God, you're great. You're going to actually have a retirement when you're older and you're going to be successful and a multimillionaire. The other ones that are like, I'm just here because my parents told me to, like, they're not going to do a great job at all.
That makes sense. Okay, so what do you think about issues that cannot be resolved on the first call? So studies show that 67% of customer churn is avoided if the service request is fulfilled during the first interaction. For you guys, I imagine that gets solved
immediately.
99% of the time in the first, because you guys have really no pushback or anything like that.
Right. It's really rare that we can't solve your problem. And there's a lot of times that, manager can step in and override.
Right the wrong.
Yeah, override anything, and they can pretty much give you whatever you want. So
we had a really good experience at, and we were just talking about this before the show, but like Just Salad. We went to get our salads, and Zach got like a warm bowl, and it was like a chicken fajita bowl.
Ooh.
The person literally forgot to put chicken.
Out of stock?
He forgot to put chicken, and like Zach called and he's like, hey, just want to let you guys know that you guys forgot to put chicken. And they're like, oh, well, do you want to come back and get chicken? He's like, no. And I'm like, why are you calling? Like, we could just go. And they're like, no problem. When you come in, we're going to give you extra chicken, and it'll be free.
That's what I'm talking about.
And so Zach's like, okay, do you want to take my name or something? And the manager was like, no, I'll remember your face. So we're like, okay, that's kind of a bust. Like, whatever,
right.
Eat our food, whatever. Like 3 days later, because we're obsessed, we go to Just Salad again. And the lady's like right at the front. She's like, I remember you, extra chicken, like, whatever. So we get our stuff. And then she ended up comping the entire order. And I was like, this is service. And again, It was like so seamless. It wasn't going against the grain. Like, right. She just, unlike freaking Mod Pizza, which is like Blaze or, one of those things where twice now we've ordered pizza and they forgot to put cheese.
How do you forget to put cheese on a pizza? Who eats cheese, pizza without cheese?
I don't know. Psychopaths. But they've done nothing to resolve that. So I just...
and that's what I'm saying. Like, I love the customer highs like that because, if a customer was actually wronged and, it was an accident by an employee, it's so nice to be able to comp their whole thing or give them back a refund and a new item.
As a customer,
that's awesome.
It feels amazing. Like, I was already obsessed with Just Salad, but I'm going to go there at least 3 times a week now. Not hoping that they screw up, but just like, okay, I want to give you my service. You guys didn't even bother fighting me on this. Not that other things shouldn't be, but
Trying to keep their customers. They're smart.
Yeah. Okay, great. So we're going to start wrapping it up. So what is one tip that you would share for someone who's at the bottom of the ranks at retail, or even someone who's considering leaving a job that has been pretty good to them, but they feel pressured to get a higher salary increase, and it's hard for them to see the light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak? Like, what advice do you have for them, or what tip do you have for them to stick it out? Or
I would tell them to just stay motivated and work as hard as you can, because the people that work hard are usually recognized. The ones that actually stand out from the rest of the ones that are just there because their mommies and daddies wanted them to get a job, most of the time they get relied on the most and they'll get moved up.
And what happens if I work at a company that is really bad at because they exist, is really bad at recognizing employees in the proper time? What do I leave?
That's hard to say because, I've had a good experience with being recognized. I mean, I would probably say leave that job and get a job at my place, but
come apply over here where we appreciate people.
Yeah, I'll hire you in a second. I actually really need people, so. Just kidding.
Very understaffed. I can't tell you where I work.
I can't tell you where.
We're severely understaffed.
But you can figure it out and then come apply.
Maybe what we'll do. Oh no, I was gonna say we could post like the careers page, but
no, that would give it away. I already tried to give it away twice now, but
maybe there's really no getting around this. I think what I've come to the conclusion is that you're very brave for coming on here. And I'm assuming you're not going to tell anyone at work that you were on this podcast.
Definitely not, but maybe I'll share your podcast in the future without my episode. You
got to share it to someone. Doesn't matter who it is. But thank you so much for coming out tonight and telling us your story. It's so much funnier hearing it the second time around.
Thank you.
And thanks to the audience for listening. You can find us on Spotify or anywhere you get your podcasts at The Second Round Podcast, on Instagram, on TikTok, and we're even on Twitter. Thanks and good night.
Good night.